Ragnarok chapter 86, the full chapter is out. We are officially starting with round 10. So we start things off with Heimdall as we usually do, with this awesome shot of the landscape with the moon in the background, Kyoto City, Japan in the Edo period. And they've actually reinforced the walls on the arena because of last round. You remember the arrows started getting deflected into the crowd, etc, etc. The crowd's been damaged a couple times, so they're taking precautionary measures, which I actually kind of like. But if you're a Record of Ragnarok fan and don't want to miss any of the news, any of the updates, make sure you're subscribed to this channel as I cover the chapters every single month with a bunch of other content as well. Heimdall says, taking account into the lessons learned after the 9th round where a large number of spectators were injured, the arena is finally completed with special modifications. As requested by the fighter on the god side, the stage for the 10th round is a perfect recreation of a portion of Kyoto City, Japan. This place is detailed as hell and it looks really awesome. One of the best arenas, of course. The crowd is reacting, they're saying this was a request from a god. Why the hell is he putting it in the human's favor? Heimdall says the gods have 5 wins and 4 losses. The countdown to the extinction of humanity is only at 2, because don't forget, it doesn't have to go all the rounds, they just have to reach 7. Humanity is literally at the edge of the cliff right now, and to push them off this cliff, the greatest sword god in the heavens has descended here. Another moonlight shot with Susanoo walking across the bridge with a smirk on his face. Looks great. We got to see Hilda and Gold watching from the stands, with just more shots of Edo City, Japan with this awesome bell that actually gets rung when the match starts later on. So, as I was talking about in my spoiler video, I said I think that this is one of the murals that was similar to Raiden and Shiva's match, and it is. That says, in ancient times, this god struck down the 8-headed serpent Yamata no Orochi with this Totsuka no Sarugi, the sword of the 10 handrets. I don't know if that's supposed to say 10 hundredths or what that's supposed to say. Somebody can let me know. Kenjutsu, that means swordsmanship at this moment, was born in this world. So they're referencing Susanoo as the god of swords, the god of Kenjutsu, which is working as a word for swordsmanship. Keep that in mind. We get this awesome mural, as I mentioned, with Susanoo cutting the head off the Hydra. Epic shots. I kind of wish this was not a mural. I kind of wish we actually got to see it, but who knows why they didn't do that. And then the sword was born from Orochi's tail, a legendary sacred treasure. Ame no Marakumo no Sarugi, the heavenly sword of gathering clouds. With that sword in his hands, he was furious like a storm, swift like lightning. He cut down the evil gods of Takamagahara, the high plane of heaven. He is the sword god, feared as the wild god, and now it is time for him to live up to his reputation. I am the origin of Kenjutsu, the strongest god slayer, Susanoo no Mikoto. If you guys did not know, Susanoo is known as the storm god, so they classify he was called a storm. He was swift as lightning because he's not going to use any of those supernatural abilities, I'm assuming. So they're saying, they're referencing him being the storm god without him actually being the storm god in this. We see Susanoo walk over to this alleyway. We see him staring down it, moon in the background, and he says, this is the Bakumatsu. Takes in a deep, long breath and says, I am hyped. Just as he says that, in the background, walking down the opposing side of the alleyway, we get to see his challenger. Mankind's challenger to the strongest god slayer in the heavens, says Heimdall, is this man, as Okita Soji makes his appearance. He walks in with aura all around him. Ambiance on point. There was an era in Japanese history when the men were intense and overflowing with fighting spirit. Swords and ideas clashed, and many lives were lost on that place. It was Kyoto, at the end of the Edo period. In this city where countless swordsmen and masters were born, the peak of Kenjutsu was reached, the art of manslaying. Who is the strongest manslayer of that era? Would it be him who was Japan's #1 small sword and created many unruly ronin? Sasuke from Imawa Regumi? No. Would it be him who was called the strongest tyrant of the end of the Edo period and who mastered the Shinto Munen Ryu? The founder and leader of the Shinsengumi, the director, Serizawa Kamo? No. Then would it be the 4 manslayers of the Bakumatsu who turned said era with their killing swords? Okada Izo, Tanaka Shinbei, Kawakami Gensai, and Nakamura Hanjiro? No, it was the small man dressed in a light blue checkered Hiyori. He was feared by warriors as a demon. The sword dyed Kyoto and Osaka in fear and blood during the Bakumatsu era. His true identity. Is he a human? Is he a demon? History's strongest manslayer. He is called Okita Soji. So, a lot that I just covered there. The Sasuke I mentioned is not the Sasuke we know. It's a different name, but I couldn't pronounce his other name. A lot of these names are tough to pronounce. But yes, they're using this verbiage calling him the strongest manslayer. They even say of that era. And although they call it Susanoo the god of swords, they are being very careful in not calling Okita the strongest swordsman. So I do think that that is for the Sasuke reasons. I've raised questions about this in my other videos because in my heart of hearts, I don't believe Okita is going to surpass Sasuke, but we shall see. Don't forget, Sasuke wasn't a manslayer in Record of Ragnarok, as he didn't actually kill his opponents. He never actually wanted to win. He's the greatest loser, so he always would lose to his opponents and then surpass them after the fight, then go find a new stronger opponent. Now that being said, we actually get a shot, as Okita is being mentioned, of his weapons. He's got 2 katanas, not just one. The captain of the first unit of the Shinsengumi, Okita Soji, and we get that same montage that we got with Susanoo. Looks awesome with this cold ass face-off panel with the moonlight in the background. Okita says, I miss this town a lot. Even the blood smells the same. Man's a savage. The strongest manslayer in human history and the heaven's greatest god slayer. Between those two, who is stronger? Now we find out, says Heimdall, and he slams the gong. The bell rings around the city, and right as it does, Okita's getting ready to fight. He's got his sword drawn, but Susanoo looks over to the side. Doesn't even have his attention on Okita. Okita's surprised by this. He starts sweating. He's like, what the hell's going on? Susanoo says, so, you are Okita Soji then? Okita's like, huh? I mean, yeah. Susanoo says, that's store. That's Ikadaya, right? Okita says, ah, true, you are right. Susanoo then rushes over, which looks like this was that demon mode panel we saw, but he wasn't actually going to attack Okita. He ran over to the side of the wall, and he says, I see this is Ikadaya, where the Shinsengumi, with only 4 men, cut their way to victory against over 20 members of the Chosu and Tosa loyalist samurai. The one and only Ikadaya. Ooh, I can see the sword marks on the pillars. The aftermath of Ikadaya incident has been faithfully recreated. He's pleased. He requested this, down to the last detail. Okita says, you really know a lot about this, don't you? Susanoo says, sure I do. The Bakumatsu period was my one and only dreamland. Okita says, this place, is it somewhat dear to you? Well, I would assume it's dear to him if he says it was his dreamland. Susanoo says, yeah, the sword I created was cultivated by mankind over a long period of history. And in the Bakumatsu period, they mastered the art of manslaying. That's why I've been waiting for so long. It was for you, the strongest manslayer of the Bakumatsu period, Okita Soji. So out of all the swordsmen, it seems, the manslayers that they're using, Susanoo views Okita as the strongest, as the most worthy to fight him. That's why he wanted to fight him. He says, this time I will fight you with one of the best panels of the chapter. Susanoo's eyes went white. He looks like a straight demon. Okita says, this is not what I was expecting from the god of swords. We get a pan out shot to Okita's comrades, brothers in arms in the Shinsengumi, and they're sighing. They're like, Soji, wake the fuck up. Give me a break. That guy gets distracted so easily, says one of them. Please stop your loud, stupid voice. It's embarrassing the squad, says another. A third says, Cuckoo, you didn't change at all. Still the same Shinpachi who's always so serious. Come again? Hajime, you little shit. Do you want to fight? Bring it on. And then as these guys are squabbling, Big Dog Kamo, the man that's usually flanking Okita, like punches him on the head. He's like, cut that shit out. You're gonna punch me even in the afterlife, says Hajime. Kondo says, I don't care where it is. And as Okita hears his guys in their normal form, he has a sigh of relief and a smirk crosses his face. He says, they're a noisy bunch of fellows as always. We cut back and Kondo's got all his men in order. He says, are you guys ready? We, the Shinsengumi, will go along with Soji. We get this awesome shot of the major players in the Shinsengumi, the captains. They look badass, as I've talked about in my spoiler video. Hajime says, finally. Shinpachi says, but is Soji's body fit to fight him? Kondo replies, fear not. Besides, take a look at his face. And all these other members agree. They're all in agreement. They look at Okita's face and they know, without a shadow of a doubt, at times like this, Soji is stronger than anyone else. A healthy body, the nostalgic air, and the strongest opponent. That's badass. Great hype for all of them. No one can beat Soji. They called Susanoo the strongest opponent. His guys are in such reverence of Soji. And that is actually going to be the final panel. We see Susanoo with a smile on his face, wide as hell, and Okita with a great smile on his face as well, says, finally, I can fight to the death with all my heart. Because if you guys did not know, he died of tuberculosis, wasn't able to lift up his sword at the moment of his death, never got to fully go out on his shield, go out as a swordsman, as a warrior. Now he gets the chance to do so, or potentially move on and live on. If you want more information about his backstory and potentially how he's going to be fighting in this round, go check out the most recent video before this one, where I talk about the things we got in the prequel series that's actually canon to Record of Ragnarok, talking about Okita Soji's backstory, his fighting style. All that is in that video, so check that out. Now this chapter served to be kind of a setup chapter, obviously, for the fight. Didn't get any interaction fighting wise, which I'm a little bit surprised by, but makes sense considering there was a lot of exposition that had to be out. Had to explain why Susanoo picked the battlefield, why he wanted to fight Soji, and they had to have like kind of a conversation beforehand. So next chapter will be heavy fighting, I'd assume. With that being said, we also didn't get any update on Odin, Beelzebub, Buddha, their situation, and no reactions from any major gods. So nothing from Zeus, Hermes, the major players, the usual candidates, nothing from them. That's interesting, and I'd expect that next chapter. We also got the reveal of Okita's Valund, the 2 katanas. He only has 1 out right now, but we don't know which Valkyrie he Valunded with and what the special ability is. All things to look forward to going forward, but all in all, I think that this chapter will age better as a hype chapter when we get the next and the next and the next. But as a solo chapter, it's a little rough because we're kind of just building the hype without any payoff. But let me know what you guys thought of the chapter. Are you guys liking the personalities of Okita and Susanoo so far? Who do you guys think is going to win? And how do you think this fight is going to play out? You think it'll be short? You think it'll be long? I personally think it's going to be one of the best fights in the series, given the fact that, you know, the creator of this manga really likes the character Okita Soji. He made his prequel manga before anything in Record of Ragnarok. So I think we got a lot to be excited for. Make sure you guys subscribe so you never miss any Record of Ragnarok content. Drop a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.